Hello, and welcome to the third installment of Communication, the Human Connection, where we will focus on speaking and listening. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, all the great speakers were bad speakers at first. And I really think this applies here because, like anything else, public speaking takes practice to make it perfect. Uh, as a teacher, my whole world revolves around public speaking. And when I first started, I was not great at it. It's taken me many years to build up my confidence in order to speak freely without getting too nervous. So, we're going to look at 5 tips to improve your speaking skills, whether it's at a job interview or when you're presenting in front of a class or just an everyday conversation with your peers. The first tip here that I will share, and it's probably the most important in terms of public speaking, is to prepare. Make notes, cue cards before you have to present something. Don't heavily rely on notes and cue cards when you're presenting, but they are good to refer back to if you're having a moment of amnesia. Um, practice your part, practice your speech, practice anything that you know about beforehand. You can practice in front of a mirror, you can practice in front of your family or friends. Really, practice, as I said, makes perfect. So if you're familiar with how your speech or your speaking engagement is going to unfold, then it'll be much easier on the big day. One thing as a teacher I can tell you is to make sure that your tech is functioning. You'll probably be doing a lot of presentations online. Just make sure that you're familiar with how to, let's say, screen share a PowerPoint like I'm doing now. Because if your tech is not functioning, it might make you even more nervous. A lot of presentations involve a time limit. So beforehand, you can prepare by timing yourself while you're practicing to make sure that you fall in to the given time. And if you are going back to classes, a face-to-face environment, I find it helpful to show up early and kind of establish myself in the space so that I feel less nervous. Project confidence. Now, I'm not saying you have to pretend that you're the best. A lot of people have a hard time doing that, but there are certain things that you can do to project confidence, even if you're not feeling the most confident. One thing that I find helps is dressing the part. If you're wearing something comfortable and something that makes you feel good, then you will appear more confident. Make eye contact with your audience, however big, but not, don't stare them in the eye. I like to scan my audience while I'm speaking because it makes me feel more confident. If you're avoiding eye contact with your audience, you will appear less confident. Smile. I read somewhere that if you smile, even if you're not feeling it, you're kind of tricking your brain into actually feeling better and more calm. So fake it till you make it on that. Don't be afraid to be funny. And if you're not feeling funny when you're public speaking or you're public speaking about a serious issue, at least put some emphasis in your voice and be enthusiastic about your topic. It is very difficult to be confident about a topic with which you're not excited about. So try to speak about things that move you or that you're passionate about. Our third tip here is to articulate. This comes in many different forms, but really articulation means to be clear when you're speaking. Don't mumble. It helps when you are feeling confident not to mumble, but the minute you start mumbling, you're losing your audience. So just project your voice and enunciate your words. It's okay. Avoid filler words. Everyone is guilty of this. I know that I am. Um, I just said, this is a filler word. It's words that we say when we're feeling nervous or we're trying to reach our next thought. Teachers won't be too harsh on you if you say the occasional filler word, but instead of filling in a silence with a word, just be okay with a momentary break. I've seen many students who present to an audience and they're whispering because they're not confident. So try not to whisper, get to a comfortable place on your vocal register. And the opposite of that is don't yell. No audience wants to be yelled at. Even if you don't realize that you're doing it, it does sometimes occur. And again, just slow down your pace. If you're speaking slowly, you will run into fewer issues. Body language, body language, body language. So, as I've already mentioned in our first installment of the human connection, your body language is everything. Watch for your audience cues. If you notice a lot of people kind of disengaging, that means you've got to do something to win them back. Don't slouch, stand straight, and puff your chest out and try to make yourself tall. Don't cross your arms. As I've already mentioned in the previous video, this is the international sign of I don't want to be here. I've also seen students who want to do a presentation while they're sitting down. This is never a good idea. And if you have a paper, don't hide behind it. You should have it folded up so it can fit into your hand, and you should just casually glance down at it if you need to. But if you're reading from a paper that is in front of your face, it is not an effective way to present. Record yourself. This can be extremely painful. I've done it. It's embarrassing, but you can really focus in on your problems when you see yourself presenting. So what I've done in the past is record myself giving a lesson and then rewatching it. And then I pick maybe 3 issues that I have, and then I purposefully work on them. And then I practice and record myself again to see if I've eliminated any of the issues. It's a good way to improve on your weaknesses. All right, so if you want an activity to practice your public speaking, here's one. So before school starts, come up with like an instant speech, something right off the top of your head. And like, don't think too much about it. Like, pick something you're really passionate about. Like, let's say, I love Korean food. And then I would speak as to why and what foods I like. This speech shouldn't be longer than 1 minute. Once you have it in your head, grab your phone, hit record, and read the speech. Once you're done, watch it back, and then focus in on what you find you need to work on. This is a really great activity, and you can do it at any point to just focus in on improving yourself. Okay, so here are 5 tips to improve your listening skills. So not only do we play a role when we're public speaking, but we're also playing a very important role when we're an audience member. So this could be when you're listening to your teacher or when you're observing somebody else's presentation. You do have a role, and there are certain tips that can improve your actual listening skills. So first of all, this is pretty obvious, although it's almost impossible for some people. It's eliminating distractions. So I do this myself. Like if I really want to get some work done or I have to pay attention, I turn my phone off. It's hard, but I do it. Um, I close my laptop. I know a lot of students like to record notes with their laptops, and that's fine. But the problem is if your laptop is open and you're on, Microsoft Word recording your notes, you will have a temptation to, I don't know, go on to some online shopping or like use social media while you're supposed to be listening, and you're just shooting yourself in the foot, really. Um, you could take written notes, which I find is more effective for memory retention anyway. So I don't know, that's a suggestion. Um, if I have a textbook, I usually close it when I'm listening to the teacher because I'm always compelled to like refer to the textbook while the person is speaking, and I find that to be distracting. I don't want to be unkind, but I do block out my peers. If I'm sitting with friends, I just kind of tune them out if they're in a chatty mood. And I myself will not engage in a conversation with them while I'm trying to listen. These are pretty obvious, but they really do help. Show interest. So you'll find you'll get a better presentation out of a speaker who actually feels like they're engaging you. So, like, look at the presenter, give them non-verbal listening cues like nodding, smiling, making eye contact, and wait until there's a natural pause in what they're talking about to ask questions, and make sure they're pertinent questions that won't throw the speaker off of their game. Okay, number 3, take notes. I've already mentioned the importance of taking notes with pen and paper. It really does help you retain what you've written much easier. And don't worry about capturing everything word for word. That is impossible. Like, that is not why we take notes. You're looking to summarize the material. So you're going to listen to a chunk of monologue or whatever the speaker is saying. You're going to listen to a chunk of that, and then you're going to summarize it and write it down in a sentence or two. Also focus on the big ideas, the reiterated ideas that the person is speaking about. Don't worry about the filler. And then if you're stuck on a concept while you're taking the notes, highlight the concept that you're stuck on. And then once the speaker is finished, or maybe class is over, you have no opportunity to speak with the person who's teaching you, you can refer back to these concepts in your textbook, or perhaps send an email to your teacher to help clarify the points. So that is the purpose of note taking. Don't judge. I find some people in an audience, they appear to be listening, but really they have something happening inside, like, oh, this person knows nothing. Like they're having like negative talk in their mind about the speaker based on any number of things. And that is actually just distracting. Whether or not you like the speaker or you approve of what they're saying, like just try to hear them out and then formulate some sort of judgment afterwards. Also, some students believe that they're being presented with like misinformation, or like the speaker doesn't know what they're talking about. Hear them out again. Wait till after class or after the speaking engagement is over. Do some research. And then, if you still feel like whoever was speaking wasn't doing a proper job of it, maybe contact them privately. It doesn't help when you're like thinking about refuting what the speaker is saying while they're speaking. It's not going to help you retain any information. So like, don't pick internal fights with the speaker while you're trying to listen. And finally, read the presenter's body language. There's a lot of cues in there. Um, when they're projecting extra enthusiasm, when they're getting excited about something, these are probably the most important takeaways from whatever they're talking about. And it really helps to try to put yourself in the presenter's shoes and show empathy. They pick up on your empathy, and they will deliver a better presentation if they feel that you are engaged. I've already mentioned that. But also, it helps you retain the information if you can really put yourself in a presenter's shoes. And I have another activity. So, this activity is just to prove to you how much is lost when we are distracted. So, turn on like a short video on anything, maybe like a news video, maybe a like 15-minute, 20-minute video. The important thing is that you haven't seen it before. So turn your video on and then grab your phone and just get like really focused on something on your phone. So like find some social media site and just get invested. And then after about 15 minutes, turn your phone off or just put your phone down and try to recall what was happening in the video. You'll find that you have some difficult, like you'll know basically what was happening, but you won't be able to recall detail. And then watch your video again from the beginning with no distractions whatsoever, and just like it's like teaching yourself how tech really can distract us. So that concludes the third chapter of communication, the human connection.